I'm Vinny with Heavy Duty Cabinets, and we're building a bench in a box. This is your bench in a box. It comes on a pallet for easy moving. It's got these metal straps to keep everything contained, and everything that you need in order to build this bench is in this box, except for some tools, and we'll grab those in a little bit. But first, let's get this thing into position for unpacking and building.
Much of the assembly in this video will be pertaining to bench in a box models 1 through 10.
For this video, you'll need pliers, metal strap cutters, a socket wrench with 1/2 inch and 3/8 inch sockets, the provided Allen keys, pencils, an impact driver with a Phillips head bit and a drill bit, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver. You may also need wire strippers and a lighter. All right, so now that our box is in place, we've got to get these straps off. These are heavy duty metal straps, so we've got to use a heavy duty tool like cutters or clippers in order to get these off. So let's go ahead and grab one of those, get this thing open. All right, so we got our tools. So we're gonna cut the under straps first, and then we're gonna cut the over straps. So there's 2 of these that go short ways and 2 of these that go long ways. So let's start here. All right, now that we've got all these straps off, let's unpack this thing and see what we're working with. All right, so the first step of this is to assemble the base of your bench. So you're going to need your large working surface. You're gonna need this front support. It's got 5 screw holes on the top, and then it's got 4 larger screw holes on the sides in order to connect it to these 2 legs. So you'll need these 2 legs. You'll need this large back support. Last piece you'll need for the frame assembly are these leg extenders, so make sure you grab those too when you're setting everything up and getting ready to build the frame. And then you'll need this bag of HD base black assembly hardware out of the hardware box. So that's gonna have everything you need for this step, so go ahead and grab that bag, grab your parts, we'll meet over there and we'll put it together. All right, now that we've got everything laid out about where it's gonna go, just want to point out, we've got our flat top working surface over here, our bench top, face down on a protective piece of styrofoam. We saved some out of the packaging. If you have anything else you'd like to use, that would work too. So we're going to start things off by taking these leg inserts and putting them in the bottom of this leg frame. All right, to secure the leg in place, we're going to use a screw and washer on the outside and a lock washer and acorn nut on the inside. Okay, so for this next portion, we're going to attach the front support here using these 2 diagonal screw holes. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this screw plate and we're going to line it up and we're going to insert it into the leg base. All right, next let's line up this front support here with our screw holes back here. So make sure the badge is facing forward, that way we know it's oriented correctly. And then we're gonna take our lock nut combinations and we're just going to hand tighten them on the inside. Just enough to make sure that this thing doesn't move. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is our back channel here. So the important part of the back channel is to make sure that the open end of this channel actually faces the inside of the bench. So what we'll do is we'll make sure that is correct. So it's important to note when you do this to make sure that this angled edge is facing down. So go ahead, slide that plate in, connect these 2 pieces, and go ahead and get those bolts on there. So the last part on this back channel is going to require this bolt and washer. So that's gonna go in this 3rd bottom hole into the pre-tapped hole that is already on the leg. So once you get that all tightened up, this back channel should be more or less in place. And let's see what we've got. So at this point, our bench should look a little something like this. It's just a frame the leg pieces and the 2 crossbars. So go ahead at this point and tighten everything up. So at this point, we're gonna wanna take our bench base, flip it over, line up the back of the bench base with the back of the bench top, and we're gonna mark our holes for drilling. If your bench top came with a pre-drilled hole like this one, it's a great indicator to which part of the bench top is your back. Now that our bench top is aligned, we can go ahead and start pencil marking the holes for drilling. So at this point, we're gonna take the bottom frame and flip it back over so that we can drill our holes. Now that our holes are drilled, line your bench in a box base back up and go ahead and screw in your screws. Now that our lower bench assembly is put together, we are ready to move on to the next step in the bench in a box. This next portion of the bench, it's recommended that you flip the bench on its back side so it's easier to access the underneath side of the bench. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Again, we're putting it on a protective surface so that it's all protected from scratches and the paint. The next thing to install is the ground bolt. We're going to use this thick hex bolt and the serrated washer. And the serrated washer is going to go teeth down on the top, and we're just going to slide it right through. Okay, now that our ground bolt is installed, we're going to install our washers, our ring connectors, and our nut on the bottom side. So we're going to go washer, ring connector, washer, another ring connector, washer, and then nut. Next, let's install the first banana plug. So we're gonna go right in front of the bench. You'll see the banana plug hole right here. And we're going to just drop this cord in there, drop this cable in there. And right as we do that, we're going to loop this nut on the other side and pull it all through. The reason we loop that nut through so it's easy to just tighten once it's on the other side.
In order to cut this wire, we are going to run it all the way down to the ring terminal. We're gonna add an extra inch, and then we're gonna cut. We wanna have it tight, but not too tight. We're gonna leave a little bit of extra slack in the line. Next thing we're gonna do is strip this wire. All right, now that we've done that, we're going to insert it into our ring terminal. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna crimp the ring terminal so that the wire doesn't come loose. Now that we have our ring terminal crimped and our wire is secure, we're gonna go ahead and do one last step, which is we're gonna take a lighter and we're gonna heat down the plastic so that it shrinks to the wire. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to install the zip tie guide pads as they're shown on the diagram that comes in the box. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our zip ties and we're gonna tie them to those guide pads and we're gonna corral our wires. All right, the last wire we're gonna install is the wire that goes from the table to the floor. So we're going to take this wire, we're going to install it in the metal ring connector that faces the back of the table. We're gonna crimp that ring connector. And then we're gonna take this and run it to the floor and we'll cut at the floor. That way it can discharge into the ground. The next part of the bench we're gonna put together and install is the drawer. So let's go ahead, cut these keys loose, unlock this drawer, and get it ready for install. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do to install this drawer is we're going to actually remove the drawer from the drawer housing. So we're gonna go and we're going to release these two tabs on the side. There should be one on each arm of the extended guide arms. We're gonna release those levers and the drawer should pull right out, separating from those arms. For this phase, you'll need packet A7169 HKHD. So we're gonna start by installing the front plate with the keyhole forward. Use the small bolts in the provided parts bag to attach this plate to the housing, but make sure to keep it kind of loose. Next, we're going to do the same thing with the back plate on the back of the housing. Unlike the front plate, which we wanted to keep a little bit loose, the back plate needs to be tight. Now that we have the plates and brackets installed, we're going to pick which side of the bench we want to install our drawer on and line the drawer up. When you're positioning the drawer, you want the front lip of the bench to overlap the plate just a little bit, but not enough to cover the keyhole. Once we've got that lined up, and don't get frustrated if it takes a minute, it is a little bit difficult. We want to take our pencil and mark all of the screw. Once we've got that lined up, we want to take our pencil and mark all of the screw holes so that we can drill pilot holes in the bench for our screws to attach the housing. Now that we have our holes marked, we can go ahead and we can drill the pilot holes. All right, now that we have all of our pilot holes drilled, we can go ahead and attach the housing using our screws.
All right, so at this point, we're good to flip over this bench for what should be the last time. With our drawer housing successfully installed, we can go ahead and line up our drawer with the tracks on both sides. Slide that in, it'll lock back in, and there we have the drawer. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is assemble the footrest. And so to start doing that, we are going to take our footrest grip tape and we're going to unroll it. And we're going to just wrap it around this footrest pole. We'll get to about right here. We'll take a knife and we'll cut it. And we'll do that all the way around until the bar is completely wrapped. When going to attach these ones to the table, you're going to need A7001 or A7270. That's going to be the bag that has all your parts in it. Our order for the footrest goes Allen head bolt, finish washer, and then on the bottom we're going to go flat washer, and then cap nut. Make sure that the teeth of the cap nut face into the washer so it has something to grab on. And you'll do the same for the other side. In order to secure our back channel on, we're going to go hex bolt, washer, in this hole, and then strut nut on the back. We're going to tighten this loosely. That way we can slide our channel on the back. Now that our strut nuts are in place, we're going to slide our channel on. We'll tighten our strut nuts. Make sure to insert these plastic finish caps. With your uprights installed, your bench should look like this. For this next step, we will be installing the light assembly. You'll also need to assemble the frame that holds the light. For this part, you'll need bag OLF A7079 black. Remove the plastic cover from the light fixture so you have access to the inner part of the housing. Now, remove the central cover by pinching the cover together and releasing the tabs. Next, flip the light housing over so you can attach the crossbeam to the housing. Line up your crossbar with the two holes on the housing and grab the hardware that came in the box. Our order of assembly for this attachment will be machine screw, finishing washer, flat washer through this post, large flat washer, and then on the underside of our light fixture, we'll use a large flat washer
and a cap nut. At this point, we're going to flip our housing over. We're going to put our protective piece back in the middle, sliding it into those channels. And making sure it's all locked in. Next, we'll attach our light holding bar. So we're going to unscrew these. Easy screw nuts at the end, and then screw them back on. Make sure you put a washer on either side in order to prevent metal on metal contact. Next, let's prepare the strut nuts in order to mount the light bar.
Here's what your finished light assembly should look like when it's mounted.
The next step will be to build this shelf and mount the shelf. So we're going to need bag A7042, and that's going to have all of our hardware for this step. So the first thing that we're going to do is install this front screw on the bracket on your shelf. Make sure that the bracket goes the full length of the shelf and is lined up to the pre-drilled screw holes.
Next, line up your crossbar support with the existing screw holes and attach.
Finally, we'll go ahead and attach all the middle screws. There should be 3. Now we'll go ahead and we'll flip our shelf over. We're going to go ahead and we're going to prepare our strut nuts. Once you've adjusted your shelf to the height you like, you're ready to move forward. This is what your bench should look like now. In order to install the bin holder bar, you'll need A7449. Those will be all the parts you need for the bin holder bar. For the bin holder bar, simply install your strut nuts and then attach the bar at the height that you would like. We'll put our strut nut in. As with all the other ones, install your strut nuts, line them up to the channel, and tighten at the desired height. With the bin holder bar attached, here's what your bench should look like now. The final piece of your assembly will be the power strip. For the power strip, you'll need A7043.
Start by opening the bags.
Cut loose any kind of miscellaneous package. To start, line up your power strip with the mounting bar. Put your machine screw through the front and tighten the small nut on the back. Do the same at both ends. Finally, let's assemble our strut nuts and get ready to mount. Mount your strut nuts and then you're done.
This is what your final assembled bench should look like. For more benches or for benches of different variations, go ahead and find them on heavydutycabinets.com. Thank you for watching this bench in a box assembly tutorial.